Welcome to Curriculum Proposals and Changes 101. There is no final examination, but upon completion of this video tutorial, the faculty members should be able to submit a correctly formatted curriculum proposal form. Seriously, folks, thanks for taking the time to check out this video, and I hope it will provide you with some help and advice on the process of filling out the forms and getting your proposals successfully through the approvals process. There are two types of proposals. Category 1 includes new course proposals, changes to courses or programs that affect other faculties, deletion of courses where other faculties are impacted, etc. Category 1 proposals and changes must be approved by the full Senate. Category 2 includes changes to course descriptions, prerequisites, credit count, course numbers, etc. Category 2 changes are approved by the Senate Curriculum Committee, so they go through the process a bit more quickly. If you're planning on submitting a proposal, it's a good idea to make yourself aware of all of the different committees, consultations, and approvals it has to go through to end up in the calendar so that you'll have an idea of how long the process will take. Shauna has made up some beautiful flowcharts to give you an idea of how the proposal moves. For a straightforward Category 1 proposal that is approved at each subsequent level with no problems, the process will most likely take at least 12 weeks from when it starts off in your program committee, and a Category 2 proposal will take approximately 9 weeks. The calendar is only updated twice a year, so if you are aiming to get a new course into the calendar for the March update, when students might be starting to think about courses for the following year, you need to have the ball rolling by late November, early December, taking into account the holiday season. Thinking that far ahead is probably the biggest challenge in proposing courses or changes, because the rest of the process should be quite straightforward. Everything you need to know is on this Senate Curriculum website, so please check it out if you feel you need more guidance than what is provided here. What I'm going to show you is mostly cut and paste from the guidelines and some advice gleaned from experience at curriculum meetings. Please make sure you download the current UBC Okanagan version of the forms from this URL. So first you need to decide what category your proposal is, 1 or 2, and if it doesn't seem to fit clearly into one or the other, please touch base with me. The next section is pretty straightforward, but please leave the approval date blank, as I will fill that in once we are ready to send it to the Senate Curriculum Committee. Your effective session shouldn't be prior to the current term, so if you are resurrecting old proposals, please make that change. Finally, choose the type of action and delete the other options, as well as the instructions to delete the other options. If what you are trying to do is not included in these options, for example, you want to change the number of a course, then just provide your own description of action. So I, the mysterious Dr. X, am proposing a new course in art history and visual culture, and I've been working on it with a colleague in anthropology, and they would like to cross-list the course. So the top of my form might look like this. The next section is the rationale. This is the important part of the form where you should give a thorough but concise explanation of the need for this proposal. Remember that down the line, people who are approving your proposal may have no idea about the context of your discipline or program. So it's up to you to clearly describe and then convince them why you need this new course or change. According to the guidelines, your proposal will be evaluated on the academic content and merit, and the following points should be covered in your proposals: the objectives of the course or program change, its academic merit, the nature of the proposed change and its relationship to the rest of the curriculum of the department or faculty, and the need for the proposed change. Again, since you are addressing people outside your area, it's best to avoid discipline-specific jargon. The Curriculum Guidelines Handbook actually uses the aforementioned ARTH proposal rationale as an example, so I'm going to just shamelessly steal it for my tutorial. It is short and concise, but covers the information required. The length and detail of your rationale should be appropriate to the context of your proposal. The bottom half of the form is divided into two. If you are proposing a new individual course like I am with my art example, you can pretty much ignore the right side. However, if your proposal involves other Category 1 changes to existing requirements or programs, the person who is in charge of physically making the changes when the calendar is updated wants to clearly see where in the calendar this proposal fits. So that's why you need to supply the location in the draft academic calendar. Note that the draft calendar URL includes proof/edit, so make sure that you are copying and pasting an address that has that in it. Here's an example. Note the reference numbers that appear in square brackets when you use the draft calendar. These numbers facilitate data entry. As I said, this URL is not required if you are making a change to an individual already existing course, and it is obviously also not necessary for a new course proposal. For a new course proposal, just use NA or none for both of these sections on the right side. So going back to the art proposal, this is what the bottom half of the form should look like. The new text is bold, underlined, and in red so that it's easy for the curriculum committee members and the person making the changes to see. Here's some other things to think about. For new courses, don't reuse a course number that has been deleted within the last 10 years. And also check the Vancouver course numbers to make sure that you are not assigning a number that already exists there for a different course. Regarding the course description, the guidelines encourage brevity, no more than 40 words. Use sentence fragments and eliminate everything that is obvious or redundant. According to the guidelines, an examination of should not be included in the description, but apparently it was overlooked for this proposal. Note the vectors. Vectors are not actually required, but we do use them in FCCS. The three numbers represent lecture, lab, and discussion or tutorial components. If you need more explanation, please go to this URL. So earlier I said my example was going to be a new course with cross-listing. And since we seem to do that a lot in FCCS, I'm going to add a cross-list to this course just for an example. Imagine that anthropology wants to cross-list this new course. You can include this on the same form. Normally what we include with cross-listed courses is both a credit exclusion statement and an equivalency statement, although technically just an equivalency statement is sufficient for a cross-list. Revisions to courses or programs that do not affect other areas are Category 2 proposals. So let's take a quick look at them. And again, I'm using an example off the Senate curriculum site. Again, on the left side, you want to see the changes indicated in bold, red, and underlined. On the right side, you need to copy the current calendar language and indicate everything you want changed or deleted with strike through and bold, but keep the font color black. This creative writing proposal also gives me the opportunity to point out an example of variable credit. The slash, in this case, essentially means that this course can be taken up to 2 times as long as the topics are different, for a total of 6 credits. The small d indicates that the credit will be determined by the department. In cases where the credit value is set in consultation with the student, you would use a small c. It's very helpful for me when you are creating your files if you follow the format suggested by the Senate Curriculum Committee for naming. This starts with our faculty code, then Category 1 or 2, the subject code, the course number, a qualifier to help me distinguish it from other documents related to the proposal, and finally the date of submission, with everything separated by hyphens. Please also add the version number for subsequent submissions. Here's how the hypothetical second version of the digital file for the ARTH proposal would look. So that's the quick and dirty on course proposal forms. Of course, there are many situations that don't correspond exactly with the examples I have used here, but hopefully this video has given you a good idea of how to at least get a start on your proposals. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you have about your own particular circumstances. If you're preparing a Category 1 proposal, please check out the next video on what you need for additional documents. Thanks for taking the time to watch this tutorial.